What's going on, everybody? Hope you all are doing well and staying safe in these crazy times. I'd like to welcome you to the very first episode of the Garbage Time Podcast. I am your host, Jordan Ash, and this show is less about interviewing and asking questions, rapid fire, and more about having a conversation. Through these conversations, I'm giving people an opportunity to kind of tell their stories and just share some basketball knowledge. This is something that's new to me. I'm having a lot of fun creating these things and getting this content out. So if you click play, you click the link, you hit start. Thank you. For episode 1, I have my 4-year guy, my teammate and roommate at Northwestern University, Dererk Pardon. And Derek is one of my favorite teammates ever. I mean, he worked his butt off for 4 years. He started his career off as a red shirt, quickly got that burned and became an impact player for us for 4 years. So in this episode, we talk about his time in high school, obviously a lot of stories that happened at Northwestern University when we were together. And then we also touch on his pro career, which he's now in his 2nd year. So hope you enjoy. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment. And I thank you all for the support and I hope you enjoy it. DP, what's happening, bro?
It's good, my boy. How you been?
Bro. Man, good. It's good to see your face, brother.
Man, for
sure.
It's
been
I feel
minute.
Like we ain't seen each other in a while, man.
Man, how's 2021 treating you so far? I know 2020 was crazy. 2021 is crazy too.
Yeah.
But what are you taking from last year? You know, you had a presidential change, the coronavirus, obviously, a lot of big deaths in the world. What are you taking from 2020?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing that I've been trying to apply in my life is just being present.
Yeah.
Being present and the now. Like, obviously, everything is not going to be great all the time, but
Right.
I feel like those are the things that help us build as people. So, like, if we do have bad times, like, we have to go through those, like, for us to be better, to grow. And so I feel like I've been doing a great job of that going into 2021, just being more present in my time instead of, like, wasting time away.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, man. I mean, you look at my situation, like I was playing at Wright State this last season in March. It was almost like you hated that the season was over, but you was glad that you got some time off. You know how it is,
Yeah.
the grind of the season. And now you look, it's almost been a year since then. It don't even feel like it's been almost a year since I picked up a ball and played competitively. So it's like that really does force you to put things in a perspective, man. That's for sure. So tell us a little bit about where you at. I know you're in Germany right now. Talk about kind of the city that you in, the team you playing for, and how the season's been treating you so far.
So right now, I am in Germany, Bayreuth, Germany, which is like kind of central to a lot of places, close to Munich, a lot of other places. But yeah, so basically right now we're kind of halfway through the season. We've been kind of on the down, these last couple of weeks. So we trying to just pick up the next couple games. We have a lot of games coming up soon. We play like twice a week. Me personally, though, I feel like I've been having a really good season. Like I said, just staying present and trying to just work every day. I think the biggest thing for me was just feeling like, okay, what can I do to better myself each day? And I feel like I brought that on and off the court this year. Last year was pretty tough, after my rookie year. So just having that clarity and having like coming into the season knowing like, okay, I know how this goes, like what it's like being overseas. So that really helped me out a lot, on and off the court. So
yeah, so we'll come back. We're gonna come back to that a little later, but I do want to ask you this. This college season, obviously there's no fans, dealing with a lot of things like creating your own energy in the team. So what we're seeing this year, I don't know how much you've been able to keep up with the college season, but you're seeing a lot of these blue bloods, they're struggling. Michigan State, Duke, Kentucky, they're not as strong, as dominant as they usually are. So with you, I know early in your season, are you guys still playing with no fans?
Yeah, we haven't since the regular season. We haven't had fans.
Yeah. So from your perspective, do you think that that actually plays a part in why these teams' records are not as strong as they usually are, or do you think it's more or less kind of just a situation in general?
Hey man, that joint hard, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like playing without fans, man. Like everybody say, basketball. Like
Right.
at the end of the day, like you go out there play, regardless if you have fans or not. But like you don't understand, like when that's taken away from you,
Yeah.
the fact that brings a big part into the game. Like feeding off the crowd, having that energy, from the people cheering for you. Like that's big, like a big part of the game. So when that's taken away from you, having to create that yourself and within the team, you might not have that every day. So I can see how a lot of teams, that are used to having big crowds, have a lot of support to struggle. So I get it 100%.
I do want to take it back to your Cleveland days, man, where you grew up, where you spent most of your time, and where you went to Villa Angela St. Joseph. You won 2 state championships there. what a lot of people don't know is that you weren't even playing basketball until your teen years. Were you a basketball player at heart, playing football? Did somebody or something kind of get you into basketball? Like, where did that love grow?
Honestly, I think the first thing you said, I was always a basketball player at heart.
Yeah.
Like I didn't play it like recreationally, but
Yeah.
like with my cousins, you know
Right.
how it is, backyard stuff like that, and I always loved it. Just it didn't never really got the opportunity to do it, like in a structured setting. So football, I played football, baseball when I was like real young. So that's something I took into my teen years. But like I said, like I always enjoyed playing basketball. So when I finally got a chance in middle school to start playing basketball, like organized, I loved it. Like from the jump, I knew this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so then when high school came, I just after the first couple of years, I played all three sports. But after the first couple of years, I had to make a decision. Like, look, like, is this what you really want to do? And I knew it was. So.
Kind of talk about Coach Babe, man. That's a guy that I was around a lot. He came to a lot of practices. Obviously, talk about how he kind of impacted your high school career and still does today, I'm sure. But I remember I was reading something and he was in an article saying he told you, just keep it simple. I want you to get to your lefty hook. I want you to have one move to your right, and you should be good to go. And that's something that you kind of patented your game after early in your college career too. So kind of talk about how his impact kind of have made an effect in your career even today.
Man, it's crazy. I actually was just thinking about this, not too long ago, but
yeah,
I didn't really just like with any authority figure or anybody like your parents or somebody, like you don't really realize the lessons they taught you until you get to that age. When I was younger, man, he's an Army guy, so he's real strict. He's everything must be particular, like he's real by the book. So
yeah,
I feel like that in itself, like in practice, like we never got any slip ups, like we had turnover, we on the line running, like he made sure that we were held accountable for everything. So I feel like that structure and that, like you said, like when I first got there, like it wasn't like I was trying to do like 1,000 moves and stuff, but I was just like a real raw talent. And so he basically just told me like, look, just keep it simple, like lefty hook, righty hook, like stuff like that will get you paid. And so I stuck to that. Like it clicked for some reason. So like I said, I feel like that structure, definitely helped me in college. Like you already know how it is, like college and professional, like having that discipline like takes you a long way, even off the court. Like they help me a lot off the court as well.
You go through that, you go through, like I said, 2 state championships. And now, in a story that a lot of people know, when Coach James came to see you, BJ came to see you, he was actually thought you was Carlton Bragg. I know we gave a mess about that for 4 years.
Yeah.
But from there, was that kind of how you kind of got into Northwestern? Like kind of talk about why you went to Northwestern. Like everybody says, man, academics and basketball, like that's like the politically correct answer.
Yeah.
But what do you think really drove you to say, like, I want to play for you, I want to go here for 4 years?
Hey, Coach James, my guy, but you know that was I promise you, bro, that story is hilarious, bro. I'll never forget that ever in my life. Definitely what drove me to Northwestern was honestly just the people. Like when that night where I did meet Coach James, polite, always on me, and like also that was like the first high major who really like got on me. Before that, I was all like a lot of mid majors like Akron, Kent, Wright State, like stuff like that. But Northwestern was the first high majors to actually like say I want you. And so when I got to meet BJ, then I started talking to Coach Gates at the time. Coach Collins came in. I just felt like I felt wanted, if that makes sense. Like,
right.
It really like it wasn't just like, oh, you can come here and you just be a basketball player, but they kind of showed cool to me just as a person. And I feel like that's my biggest thing. Like I'm big on family. When I talked to them, got around them, I came up there a couple times outside of my official visit.
Yeah.
So I came up there, man, it was nothing but love. All the coaches and even the players at the time, I think Drew was still there, like Jerson, like a lot of old heads. So like they kind of gave me a lot of game, and also got to meet the people on the team. And you was there a couple times too, so that was exciting to meet like people I could potentially come in with. So after seeing that, like I said, man, I just felt like it was a family from the jump. So that was a big part of me why I wanted to go there.
Yeah, and the reason I asked you that is because we all say there's young players like, man, it's good to feel wanted. And you start to build your own expectations from there. Like I know me personally, being from Chicago area, I'm like, man, I'm staying home. This is my chance. So I know you as a young player, whether it's from yourself, your family, your boys, everybody's like, man, they got these expectations for you. So talk about coming in, and we all look at, as young players, we all look at redshirting as a negative. We all do.
Yeah.
And even looking back at it, I wish I wouldn't have redshirted my freshman year. So talk about kind of that process from, we were in the summer, you're competing for spots, and then you kind of get that news like, hey, we're going to actually sit you this year. So kind of talk about how that whole thing went down, and kind of how you got to the point where you're like, all right, now I got to just turn off that switch and just basically work out for a year.
So basically, we came back from our Euro trip. We went to Spain.
Right.
And so, we had good games there. I played well, because, obviously wasn't get that many minutes because we
Right.
had Alex and Joey, senior in the fifth year,
right.
2 7-footers. So it's like,
right. Yeah.
I'm competing against them every day. And right when we got back, Coach Collins brought me in his office and basically was like, we have 2 seniors in front of you. Like, you have a bright future ahead. And, we kind of want to redshirt you because we feel like you can really be something in the future. And like you said, obviously when we first hear that, it's like, damn. But I'm not gonna lie, the way he laid it out to me, it made sense. Like, it wasn't like it was something so wild for him to say. Like,
right.
I had 2 seniors in front of me.
Yeah.
And he wanted to maximize my career here at Northwestern. So it made sense. And you know how it was also too, like with Coach Gates, I was almost working out every day anyway. When I finally let that settle in, it was like, all right, cool. Like I'm here for it. Like, now I just got to lock in and try to be the best player I can.
And that's sometimes the hardest part, man, is like you come to grips with the fact that you redshirt mentally, but then when you in it, right, like you got to work out, you got to be there when the team is there, you got to do all these lifts, but you're doing double because, you kind of leave practice and then you go work out, and you leave a lift and you go do another lift, and then you do all that, but you can't play.
Exactly.
So talk about from there to where now we in December, right? And we're about to start. So Joey goes down with a stress fracture in his foot. And it's like, all right, well, we still got Gavin. You know what I'm saying? We could run Gavin at the 4 and 5. But then Alex goes down. And now we got one game before we start our Big Ten season against Nebraska. So you go through that whole process where you're like, all right, I'm not playing. You kind of shut down from the games, right? I'm not playing. I'm just working out. I'm getting myself ready for next year. But then that sudden change of like, you know what, now we need you. Talk about how that process went from just like working out to now we need you.
Hey, if anybody knows, it's you. You see it firsthand. I was working my butt off, bro, every day. Like, I was working out 4 or 5 times a day. Like, especially on game days, man. You would see me. I would come in from a 2-hour workout with Coach Gates. And have to get dressed and go
dripping sweat.
Like, sit at my locker contemplating, like, damn, do I want to like,
for real though.
Right, then gotta get dressed and go warm up. So I honestly, I haven't really told a lot of people. I feel like those times, like me, like working out like that and taking, like, I took practice as my game. Like, that was my time to shine. Like,
exactly.
So with all that stuff being done, like when it did come time when Joey and Alex went down in December, and Coach called me in his office and told me, look, we need you. Honestly, to be completely honest, I don't think I would have been ready at the beginning of the season to like jump in at that point and play significant minutes. Like, just being real.
Yeah.
Now that I look back on it and see like the work I had to put in to just be ready for Big Ten basketball, like I wasn't ready coming straight out. So I feel like I needed them 2 months to really get my body together, get my mind right, learn how to play, in the Big Ten. So when finally he told me, we need you to play, I was all hands on. I was like, a lot of people would be like, nah, like I just lost half my season.
Yeah.
I realized, like, man, we got a whole Big Ten season left. Like, and at the time we was 12-1. We had one of the best starts we didn't had in years. So I was excited, man, just to see what we could do.
Yeah, and I definitely was excited for you because, like you said, like I had a front row seat for 4 years to see everything that you have been doing, not even on the court but off the court. All the extra work you was putting in. So we get to December 30th. Like this is your second career game, and you come out and you only just put up in 29 minutes, 28 and 12, 78% shooting, 6 for 8 from the free throw line, clutch free throws at that. So talk about, man, how this moment felt for you. You know, you kind of talked about you was ready. You felt like you were ready just because of all the work you had been putting in. But still, you know, you're on the road. Your first big game. It's your second career game, but your first big game, and you come out and you pretty much win us the game. Like, people don't know we were losing this whole game. We pretty much fought our way back in and won a close one. So talk about this moment for you.
Man, honestly, bro, I was nervous. I
Yeah,
was, I
yeah,
was so nervous, bro. Like, and that's something I always like. My dad taught me, man. Like, it's okay, like, to feel like nervous or like feel like
yeah.
scared. Like, it's what you do with it. Like,
Right,
okay, you feel nervous. All right, now, like, you gonna let that nerve consume you, or like you gonna
right.
go out there and beat it.
Yeah,
So I didn't start obviously, but I came in. You know, my thought process was just, this is just like practice.
yeah,
This is open practice. Like,
yeah.
you go out there, do all the small things you need to do, and whatever happens, happens.
Pardon.
You know, would you attribute, because the same article about Coach Babe, he talked about how you were kind of always in the shadows of Carlton Bragg and Brian Parker and those guys. So would you attribute a lot of things that happened in this game to those experiences? Because a lot of guys are the best players in high school when they come into college. And you kind of had to find a way to just get it. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't have plays called for you. You didn't have a lot of touches. It was kind of like, I'm getting mine off the glass. Um, I'm getting mine like kind of scrappy pick and roll type thing. So kind of, how does that high school experience like lead up to you playing the way you did in this game?
Bro, to be honest, bro, that's my whole life. Like,
Yeah,
I've never been at the forefront of anything on and off
yeah,
the court, bro. That's just something I've always been instilled in me. But like, if no one's gonna give it to you, like, you got to take it. Like,
exactly.
I've never had a chance to really be in that forefront, so I was always cool with just like, all right, I'm gonna do what I need to do.
Look at that baby face right there, though.
Hey, who is that man? I did not know him. No, but yeah, man, it's just about, like I said, I felt like I never really needed that. So when I
Yeah,
went out there, and I just felt like I did me. I didn't
yeah,
have any expectations to live up to. Like, no one knew who I was. Like, it wasn't like I
right.
was a big hero to recruit. I just went out there and played my game.
So let's fast forward a little bit to sophomore year. And
Mm-hmm.
there's two moments that we got to talk about. What a lot of people don't really realize, man, is that year, the year we went to the tournament, we started off and we kind of knew from the beginning, like, hey, we could be pretty good. You know, like, I think about that Butler loss, right? Like, we lost at the buzzer, but we were on the road, and a lot of people know Hinkle Fieldhouse is crazy. That's one of the
Right.
craziest gyms we played in. We go to Brooklyn, and we completely mop the floor with Texas, right? And then we lose a close game to Notre Dame. I feel like coming out of there, we had a lot of confidence as a team. The coaches had confidence in us, and that's big, man. Like, in those, November, early December games where you kind of building that foundation. We getting in the rhythm of the things. We got a nice flow to the season. We get to the Big Ten ACC Challenge. We're going against Wake Forest, and you matched up with John Collins, and we joke about it all the time. But kind of talk about that matchup, first of all, with John Collins, who's now in the NBA, and kind of that game when you broke your hand, how that
Yeah.
kind of put a big halt on everything that you had going from the beginning of the season to that point.
Yeah. Actually, going off what you said, man, I know we felt that in the summer. Those summer workouts and practices, it was like dog fights, man. Like,
Yeah.
we were going at it like every day, grinding. And so, like, even from that standpoint, like, dang, like, we got a chance. Like, we got a good group of guys here. And so, like, leading up to all that, and then we get to the challenge. We were in a great spot. Like I said, we were rolling and everything. We going against Wake Forest, which was actually a decent team at the time. And, matching up against John Collins, like, I'm not gonna lie, at the time I didn't know who he was.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he wasn't like this big heritage dude at the time. And so me and BJ would have like our film sessions and everything, and like look at the people. He's like, yeah, this is John Collins. Like, he's averaging 20 and 10 in 20 minutes.
20 minutes, yeah. Yeah. Like, how is that possible?
Never. Like, so I'm like, you already know how I am. I'm like, yeah, all right, you have to show me.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
like, it's all good. So we get to the game, man, and this dude, the biggest thing that stood out to me and him, this dude was so active. And you know how I am. I feel like I pride myself on that, like just being
Yeah.
always everywhere. Like that dude was active. Like I remember
Active.
one play we talk about all the time, man. So he had the ball like on the right block,
Yeah.
and I was guarding him. He turned, shot a fadeaway jumper, airballed it. I'm contesting it. I look over. He's on the other side getting the rebound.
Getting the ball. He ran past me to get the ball. I'm blocking my man out. And he just ran right past me. I'm like, yo, he just shot the ball over here.
Bro, I'm over here contesting air. There ain't nobody over there. And so I think it was still first half. I think he got the ball in the middle of the floor and he drove. And I think honestly to this day it's still a little fuzzy exactly how it happened. But I'm just gonna go with, I swiped down on the ball and I got like a piece of it.
Yeah.
And it was just a freak accident. And I just felt actually at the time, I just felt like a sharp pain in my hand.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, like what was that? And so they call like a timeout real quick. I go over to Jen. Honestly, I thought I dislocated a finger because like my hands were like twitching and like the finger was over a little bit. And so I'm looking at Jen. I'm like, bro, Jen, just tape this up. Like, let me get back out there.
Yeah, get me back out there. Yeah.
So she go over like feeling my hand and like, hold on, take me to the back. I'm like, Jen, like, what's the problem? Like, what's going on? Like, tape me up. She was like, I don't think it's your finger. I think you broke your hand.
Yeah.
And at that time, I'm not gonna lie, like I kind of broke down a little bit. Like Jen can tell you I was in the back, I was punched the wall. Yeah. But like I could have broke my other hand.
Broke your other hand, right?
Right. And I was just like what's going through my mind. I was just like, man, I really just the year before lost half the season.
Exactly.
Because I redshirted and now I broke my hand. I don't know how long that. Like at the time, I didn't know how long that would be. I'm thinking I'm done for most of the season.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so like I just had to really like gather myself with that. Just be like, all right, like we don't know where everything is going on right now. Let's just go out there and support your teammates. So I wrapped my hand up with ice and I watched a great game, man. And Sanjay, shout out to Sanjay, man. He played the 5 against John Cox.
Yeah.
He all of 6'4", maybe 6'4", 6'5", played the 5 and helped us win the game.
Yeah, and that's one thing that people kind of miss too is like BMAC ended up kind of taking that game over offensively, but I mean Sanjay was our PJ Tucker, man. Like Sanjay 100%. Would go out there and he would guard whoever, he didn't care, and he was the heart and soul of that team, man. So, and I feel like personally that was obviously it was an unfortunate situation, but it was a blessing in disguise because it helped Barrett kind of grow into his own. So that when you came back, we had a solid backup big off the bench. So we go through the season and, we're taking some lumps here and there, but now that tournament talk is starting to bubble up. And, in the locker room, man, that's all we talked about. We looked at every Monday, we were looking at bracketology, trying to see what the coaches, they were trying to kind of brush under the rug so we wouldn't think about it. We're taking our lumps and now the Michigan game is coming up. Once again, people don't kind of understand that perspective that we had. We had just lost a tough game at Indiana. But Thomas Bryant shoots a free throw off the and one. It hits the top of the backboard and bounces in with 1 second left. So now we're coming home to Michigan, and they got an NBA starting 5 pretty much.
Right.
And this is a must win. We got Michigan left and we got Purdue. 2 of the toughest teams in the league, and we got to win one of these games to kind of solidify our spot in the tournament. We get into the game, and once again, man, that was a great game. Everything that led up to that point.
Like, I don't think people understand. Like, I actually go back and watch that game sometime. Like, that was good basketball.
It was good basketball.
Start to finish.
It was good basketball. And Michigan was one of the hardest teams to scout for because they had 5 guys that were all interchangeable. And you don't see that at the college level. So, we were switching everything. You guarded Derek Walton for most of the game. You know what I mean? Like you weren't even really guarding Mo Wagner that much. You were guarding Derek Walton, and you did a great job in the first half, did a great job in the second half, but he made some tough shots in that second half. I'm gonna let these highlights play, man, and we're just gonna kind of talk about that day. First of all, the old Welsh Ryan, man, is undefeated, man. Undefeated. Our sophomore year, it didn't get any better than that. So like I said, man, this is a highly contested game. The entire game. And I think, man, we just came up with the mindset of if we're going to lose, they're going to have to earn it. They're going to have to earn it. It was like we were pissed about Indiana, and that was good. I felt like we didn't get deflated. We didn't get to the point where we were kind of losing confidence. We kind of gained confidence from the way we lost to Indiana. Man, like I said, you see the score here. And the good thing is a lot of Northwestern fans are able to see this game through the quarantine because the Big Ten Network was showing a lot of these like kind of moments, these games where it kind of got crazy. Yeah, man. He got hot in the second half.
Yeah.
Good old rub. Good old rub.
Hey, I can't tell you how many times I didn't score clean off rub.
It's like we got all these complicated plays and teams scout us and we beat them with rub. Man, okay, so here's the moment where I thought we lost, bro. This shot right here.
Man, hey.
With 5 seconds left, and he had got hot. He got hot. Yeah. He had scored a couple times down, and you see we got mixed up in transition here, and this dude, man, had a clean look off the back rim, and then we got this look. So I'm going to pause it here, and we're going to talk about this moment. So we're going to say this from the player's perspective, right? Nobody has gotten this perspective.
Right.
The ball goes off. They call it to us. Obviously, they go review it. It's 1 second left.
Hey, I'm not going to lie to you. I thought I low-key thought I hit the ball out.
Hey, it kind of looked like it, but because we got the call, I think it was too close to change it. I think it was way too close to change it.
I didn't see Mo Wagner behind him. Like, damn, let me just get this rebound.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
So we come to the bench, man, and it is a scrum in the huddle. It's a scrum. We got half the coaches saying, inbound the ball, hug it, let's go to overtime. Right. And then the other half is like, look, worst case scenario, we go to overtime. So let's just go for the win. So we get this long timeout, man, full timeout plus review. And now BJ steps to the board, right? So I'm going to go back again, man. We talk about how you always kind of have been that guy in the shadows, right? You just kind of get it out the mud in a way. So, and I know BJ is your boy. But did you expect him to draw a play for you? Because the first play wasn't for you. That first play he drew was not for you.
Yeah. So the first play was basically like, and we ran that play a couple times throughout the season, where I basically, came up at half court and I set like a cross screen for Brian and Scott as they change sides, and we try to get to either Brian running down the right side or Scott running down the left side and see what we can get from there. And it was kind of hard for us to get a clean look off. Yeah. And so actually Coach Beeline called a timeout. So we get back to the huddle. And again, I'm thinking I'm going to do the same thing, like, set the brush screen for those two. And then I guess Coach Collins and BJ have exchanged of words. They're going back and forth about what they should do. And you already know how it is. I love BJ, but when he get mad, man, he tried to draw up and play, man.
Nobody can see what it is. Nobody can see what it is.
Nobody see what it is until the play is finished.
Right. Then it all makes sense.
So he going through it, man. I'm locked in, but it's like, I'm like, this is playing for me. I just, set a screen, whatever.
Right.
And so then at the end, he said, you're going to set these brush screens for Brian or Scott. And he said, Derek, if they switch, I want you to dive hard to the basket. Mm-hmm. And he said a lot of, explicit words with that.
And dunk it. Basically, we can say that.
Catch the ball and dunk the damn ball. And so at that point, I'm like, is this gonna work? Like,
right.
I'm thinking my biggest thing in my head, I'm like, okay, I can't let this ball go out of bounds. Because if we go out of bounds, they get underneath their basket. With
a second left.
And that's with our luck, man. We could
right.
And so boom, the play happens. I'm running to half court. They cross me, and DJ Wilson switches on to Brian, I think, and Derek Walden switches on to me. And so immediately I slip.
Yeah.
I slip to the basket. I think I get to the free throw line, and I see Tap wind up.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, I know he ain't about to do that.
I know this ain't coming to me.
I know that ain't coming to me. And so the ball's in the air, and I don't feel Derek Walden. I'm like, oh, it's like, I can get this.
Yeah.
And as the ball gets closer and closer to me, I'm like, it's about to fall right into my hand. And I actually didn't realize, in the moment, like it just felt like I caught it, boom, and laid it up. Like
Right.
that's how it felt.
Yeah.
But actually looking back at it, I caught it with my right hand.
Yeah.
I caught it with my right hand, and then I threw it up with the left, but Dererk Pardon was right in my
Right.
grill.
Yeah,
And then
right on you.
DJ Wilson was coming over the top to try to block it.
Right.
And so it happened so quick, man. When that ball went through the rim, like as you can see, I didn't know what to do. Like
right.
I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, bro, did we really just do this? Like, did we really just win the game?
Right.
Man, that was such like a surreal feeling, man. Like I'll forever to this day, like that's gonna be something that every time I think about it's gonna bring me immense joy. Like no one can take that away from me.
So Nate throws you an absolute dime. I'm talking about a dime, right?
A dime.
But early in the year, and we talked about it, the Notre Dame loss, he turns the ball over, making a play, trying to throw to half court. And that pretty much lost us the game. I mean, who knows if he would have scored or not.
Right.
But he had a big turnover, tried to take a charge, and gave up an and one. We talk about toughness, right? And I kind of mentioned how Northwestern played with some toughness against Penn State. And people were responding to me like, all toughness is playing defense. All toughness is getting rebounds. Toughness comes in many different shapes and sizes, right?
Exactly.
And I want to just kind of talk about Nate's toughness to have that moment. I know he had that moment in his head. Like if I had him on the show right now, he would say, man, when I had that ball out of bounds and I went to wind up, like he probably saw that Notre Dame pass at some point before he threw that pass to you. And to me, that's toughness, right? Not being afraid to see that play and hit you. So I'm going to go ahead and let this roll. And like you said, man, so we called it 2 timeouts. I'm talking about an absolute dime, and then you go ahead and finish it. So a big question for you, man. Like, you make this play, and you guys on Sports Center the next morning. You could write us with a Sharpie now into the brackets. You could write us in with a Sharpie. What do you think your legacy would be had you missed that shot?
Man, what's crazy? I have never gotten that question ever. How many times I've been about this shot? But honestly, I would say it obviously it would not be as potent as it is. Like that was to a lot of people, not my words. A lot of people told me like, man, that was the biggest play in Northwestern history.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, to be a part of something like that, man, is like incredible. Like you can't recreate that. Like I don't think I could have averaged 30 in my whole career at Northwestern. I don't think would have equaled up to that moment that would have did for our team, not only the team, the school, and then all the fans who's been through like some of the worst times as being a fan for that program.
And I asked you that because, obviously had you missed, we'd have went into overtime. And, win or loss, the whole narrative would have changed, right? Like, it would have been BMAC saves a day, Vic saves a day, Scott, whatever. But I think because you made the shot, people forget about how good the game was. And it's like, that's the play. You know what I mean? Like when you say like the Michigan game in 2017, like you think of the play. You don't think of like how competitive that game was. The fact that we beat, a team of a starting 5 of NBA guys, and one of which was in the finals. It was kind of that game, like I said, that solidified us in the tournament. And then, the very next year we get Coach Donlin on the staff, and he's talking about it from their perspective, kind of because he ran the defense. So it's like, oh man, that was your defense that got us in the tournament. So thank you. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. So we go on, we have a great time, man. The quick turnaround of not knowing who you're gonna play, and then you find out who you're going to play, obviously, in Selection Sunday. You know, we practice in Utah. You can't breathe. The air is super thin. But we come out in Utah, man, and talk about that moment when we ran out the tunnel, right? I think about it all the time, right? We run out the tunnel, and it's like a sea of purple. It's like all of us, Ryan, just went to Salt Lake City that day. And so kind of talk about that moment for you. Kind of, we're in the tournament. It's the biggest moment of, program history. But just to see that outpouring of support out in Salt Lake?
Man, even before that, like when we had practices there, like it was the tournament is a whole different ball game that I don't think people understand. Like you play college basketball and then you play in the tournament. Like
right.
Huge difference. Like we had a shoot around maybe a practice day before. You had an hour on the dot to practice.
Yeah.
Like they started like 1 hour. Like
right.
And so just even when we was there, like for the shoot around, I'm like, you just felt the aura in the air. Like
Exactly.
It just felt different. When we finally got ready for the game and we came out the tunnel, man, and we saw all those fans, it was even to this day, I got asked this question so many times, like, how did it feel to be in the tournament? I can't describe it, bro.
You can't.
Like
you can't.
It's literally one of those things like you have to experience it to know what it is.
Yeah.
Like the feeling is really just a feeling, bro. Like
yeah.
It's something like takes over your body, bro. It's an amazing feeling. I wish if you play college basketball, like I really hope that you get a chance to play in the tournament.
Yeah, and that's something that I mean, like you said, man, it's like you can't really describe it, but it was almost like that moment of like we here, right? Like
right.
we have our shoot around, and it's so much build up. You know, we seeing all the tweets of people walking around Salt Lake. We see, you know, Mike Wilbon, we see J.A. Adonde, we see all these people, and it's like now the game is here. Exactly. So how long do you think it took? And we played great to start the game. I mean, we played great, but how long did it take you to kind of settle in? You know, because you kind of have that moment of like, I'm really playing in the tournament. You know what I mean? Right. So like, how long did it take you to settle into the game and just kind of go with the flow?
Well, honestly, even though I think I had a double this game, I feel like I just had a horrible game. Because like if you remember, like they doubled the post in this game.
Yeah, and so every time.
That's something that we practiced that whole week was always working out passes out the post. And me as a sophomore, I never got doubled in the post. Like,
right.
No one doubled me. So like that was like my real first time like having to go against that. And I think I threw like 4 or 5 turnovers in the first half.
Yeah.
And BJ was on my butt because Coach Collins was on his. So honestly, in those games, I feel like I really didn't have those moments because I feel like as a group, we were so connected.
We were.
That it was like, all right, it's just time to get to work. Like, like we really like we're so locked in. Like, I don't think you understand. Like, during that whole time, like the Michigan game, the Purdue game, like in the games, in the Big Ten tournament, even in the tournament, we were so locked in on just our mission that nothing else really mattered.
Yeah, you're right. And the other thing too, man, is they skip it in this video, but obviously you know how we end up taking the lead. Matthew Fisher Davis kind of just fouls, and it's a head scratcher, right? He just fouls B-Mac. B-Mac makes 2 free throws. But people kind of that moment, we talk about how moments overshadow the entire picture. Right. Matthew Fisher Davis almost won them the game. You know what I mean? Like that game would have been a blowout. That game would have been a blowout had he had another performance like he did in the first. But I remember sitting on the side and he was shooting some shots in the first half that make you go like, whoa. But I look down at the bench and that coach isn't saying anything. No reaction. Right. So I'm like, well, these must be normal shots for him. Exactly. And in the second half, he made every one. So he almost won him the game. But, you know, the foul is the foul. And that's kind of what people are going to remember from this game. But, I mean, I got to give that guy credit, man. Like, he made some tough shots. And he got hot. He
had an amazing game. Like you said, like, he was taking the shots. And, like, at that time, we're like, whoa. Like,
yeah.
All right, man. That's
right. That's what time we on. Okay.
But when he started making them in the second half, man, I'm telling you, I think who was on him?
Scott was on him a lot. Vic got on him some. Everybody was on him.
And you got to think about it, that's Scott and Vic, 2 really, really good defenders.
Yeah.
And he was making very tough shots. I'm talking about come off curls, pin down, fadeaway threes. I'm like.
So we advance from Vandy, and now we're playing the number 1 team in the entire tournament, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. And so we're looking at Scout, and Scout was one day. Scout was one
Right.
day. And I think, honestly, Scout was probably harder for them than it was for us, mainly because at that point, I mean, you knew who Gonzaga was.
Exactly.
Nationally, everybody knew who they were. From their perspective, it's like this team runs 100 plays. They're probably going to try to slow it down. So I can only imagine what their scout was like. But that 24-hour, little over 24-hour scout was tough. But
Exactly.
I remember our perspective was, because I think they were still undefeated at the time, or maybe one loss or whatever they were, like 32-0 or something like that.
Yeah.
We're looking at it like they play in a weak conference. This team isn't going, they're going to fold under pressure, right? Like they blow everybody out. They're going to fold under pressure. Like as far as from our perspective, we were like,
right.
We get these guys a game, we can shock the world, basically. Little did we know is that they were just as good as advertised. And in that first half,
they were who we thought they were.
Yeah, exactly. And in that first half, they gave it to us, man. And I think really for us, it wasn't us being scared. I know, Coach kind of mentioned that at halftime. I don't think we were scared at all. I think we were just kind of knocked back from the fact that, hey, these dudes are for real. You know what I mean? Like these dudes are for real. So at halftime, and once again, like nobody really knows this outside of us. At halftime, man, I remember Sanjay said some good words. Everybody kind of said something at halftime. We were down 18 and a half. And everybody kind of said what they said. And we do that all the time, right? You talk the game at halftime. But I think this game, for whatever reason, it just stuck a little more than other games. And we were down 18. It kind of stuck a little more than other games. So talk about kind of that surge in the second half when we started to, and this was the play right here. This play, nobody got back. Coach calls timeout.
Yeah.
And he just rips everybody. He rips everybody because nobody tried to get back. And so talk about that surge in the second half, man, when we were, kind of making that push. And it was like, we building confidence as possessions went on.
Right. So, like you said, like we was getting whooped on the first half, and like I don't know, man. They was good. Bro.
Yeah, right.
They were really good, bro. So
Right.
we just kind of was just pushed back, like, man, like we really like are in a dogfight right now.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, bringing up that play, I think Perkins got a steal and nobody ran back at all.
Yeah.
And just right there when he dunked it, we like, man, like who knows how this game gonna go now? And Coach just ripped us like the whole time out. Yeah. He went in the locker room, said what we had to say, came out. And when we came out the locker room, I knew like, all right, like this game isn't over. Like it's time. It's time to get to it. So as we started, we honestly didn't do anything special, man. We honestly just took it play by play. Yeah. Like just chipped away play by play on defense. We got to stop, got a bucket. Stop, got a bucket. Like, it's the thing. Like we try to get 3 stops in a row. And so that was kind of our mentality. I don't know if they have it on here, but man, Tap got hot.
I'm glad you said that.
I'm talking about pulling from deep.
I'm glad you said that, man, because that's been the theme of the day, right? It's like a moment overshadowing another moment. Exactly. And the goaltend will forever be etched in stone. You know what I mean? That's something that will forever be there. But Nate came in, man, and Nate doesn't get the credit he deserves, man. Nate led the Big Ten in 3-point percentage this year. Yeah. And he came out, man, and, nobody was really shooting well the whole game. Exactly. But he came out, and I remember, man, we would cut it to 12, they'd push it back to 15. We cut it to 10, they push it back to 14. And so we got to that breaking point where it was a 9-point game or 8-point game or something like that. And Tap bust 2 28 30-footers, like in a row.
30, bro, clean. I'm talking
clean,
about
like clean. And so now we cut it to 7. B-Mac shoots a 3, Vic tip dunks it in. So at this point, the roof is coming off. Oh, like, I mean, it's gone. Over. Like, we call timeout. Yeah. It's probably the highest I've jumped outside of trying to dunk the ball in a long time. And, we in the huddle and everybody's just pouring into each other, right? We just pouring that emotion in each other. Right. And so we come out and we get a stop. They had beat us on that high-low play all game. Scott comes over the top, blocks the layup. B-Mac comes down, gets in the paint, dishes it off to you. When you go up for the dunk, did you know that Zach Collins had put his hand through the rim, or did it feel like a clean block to you?
That's what I was just about to say, man. Like as I went up, he hit the ball. I'm not gonna lie, I thought I just got my stuff whooped. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
hey, I'm
Right,
like,
right,
I'm
right.
running down the other end like I tried him.
Right.
Like, let's just get back on defense. And then you see all this commotion. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah.
And I look up at the jumbotron. I see it. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like,
Yeah.
because the thing is, he came in so late.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, how did he get to that shot?
Right.
I'm like, oh, he's elite. Like,
right. Oh, this is a lottery pick right here.
For real. And so when I saw the commotion, I'm just like, wow, like they really didn't peep that.
The craziest part of the entire situation, like if you go back and you watch the moment, and this video doesn't have it, but if you go back and you watch the moment, there was one person, there might have been 12 to 15,000 people in the arena.
Yes.
One person reacted to that play. And the one person that reacted to that play had the ability to get a technical foul. It's crazy because we all were there, and I saw the net move, but there were like 3 guys in the air.
Exactly.
So I figured, it was just one of those things where, you swing for the ball, somebody hit the net. So I didn't react. I stood up, dunk him, and then sat down like, oh, come on, D.
Right.
On national TV like that. You know what I mean? But when, because the Jumbotron was big and they had the inside screens. And I was watching it and I was like, yo, he really just put his hand through the rim. And it went from 5, the technical push it to 7, and then Zach Collins got an and 1 in the very next play to push it to 10. Right. It was like nothing that we could do from that point. But I do think that's just another moment, right? Like we had so many moments that year, whether it was the Michigan game, the Butler game, Texas game, we had just moments that year. And I think this Gonzaga game will be like the moment where it was like, what could have been, right? Like exactly. every game, it was just like, it is what it is. But I always think like, you dunk that ball and cut it to 3, right? We were down 18. We cut that game to 3. And now it's real game pressure on these guys, right? And we can feel it. Like you can sense as a player when a team starts to just crack, right? They start to just like crack, like they can't make a shot. Their huddles aren't this strong. They're not looking at each other. The coaches just kind of, we can kind of sense that. And it was like, you dunked that ball in over Zach Collins. And and if his hand is outside the rim, you may get an and 1, who knows? Right. And now it's like, it's a 3-point game with 5 minutes left, right? Like now let's play some ball. And so I think that'll just be, like I said, one of those moments where people never forget. Like, what could have happened had that goaltend been called or had you made that basket?
No one can tell me different. I will go to my grave with this. If I dunk him or they call that goaltending, we win that game.
We win the game.
Like, I don't care what no one say, but like the momentum we had going, like you said, we down 18, bro.
Yeah.
The momentum we had and just how we was so connected right there. Like you said, like they was tight. They was tight. Like they saw like, man, like these dudes really came all the way back.
Yeah.
If we got that bucket, I wholeheartedly thought we would have won.
After this year, man, we won't kind of talk about specific moments, but the last 2 years after this were not what we thought they would be, right? Like we go to the tournament our sophomore year, we bring back everybody but Sanjay and Tap. We're playing in All-State. Everything was just so weird that year. Like that's the one word that I can say, it was weird. And so we go through junior year, that kind of was what it was. And we go through senior year. And once again, we have pretty much, it's kind of like a coming of a new age. And then we got like, Vic was still there. We bring in Ryan Taylor. We bring in all these guys. And then we also have like Pete and Miller, their freshman years. Talk about how you adjusted. Our senior year, we ran a lot of plays for you. Talk about how, you adjusted to becoming a focal point. You mentioned in the Vandy game, that was the first time you really got doubled. You got doubled a lot as a senior.
Yeah.
Talk about what you learned about yourself as a player as you kind of made those adjustments and that transition from being like the guy that was on the bottom of the scouting report to the guys at the top of the scouting report.
Yeah, like you said, I don't think people realize that how much leadership is a big, huge part of a team. Like,
right.
Yes, like people always thought like, man, they got the same team coming back next year. Like,
yeah,
it should be the same thing or even better. Like,
right.
Like, no, like we lost two huge leaders in Sanji and
Pillars,
Pat,
pillars.
like pillars of not only just that team, the program. Like,
Yeah,
so to lose them, I think it was very tough on us from that standpoint. For myself, like just kind of developing as a player, I feel like I kind of just did what I've always done, which was just like constant work. Like
yeah,
every summer, I had to be better. Like that was
yeah,
my goal. Like I
yeah.
need to be better than I was as a sophomore my junior year. I need to be better than I was as a junior my senior year.
Right,
And so
right.
as I start to develop more skills and like I said, learning to handle double teams and stuff like that, I've realized like, man, that's hard. Like
Right. Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
like people may think like, man, if I get the opportunity, like I'll do this. Like, no, like this is hard work you gotta put
It's
in.
hard work. Yeah.
Like it's easy to be at the bottom of that scout report,
Yeah.
but
Right.
when you that first name up there and
Yeah.
every eye is on you, then
Yeah.
you gotta really evaluate yourself as a player and like what you feel you need to bring to the team. And so I kind of just felt like I knew my role my senior
Mhm.
year, and I just got comfortable in that where I knew, okay, I'm the guy that needs to bring energy all the time. I
Mhm.
have to be that leader. I have to be that rock for our team, whether that's on offense or defense. If we need a bucket and they throw down to me, all right, I need to take my time and trust my work, my
Yeah.
repetition. Like I said, like I worked with BJ every day before
Yeah.
practice. Like I was always crafting my moves. Like I said, the
Yeah.
up and under, the right, left hook,
Yeah.
always crafting my move. And so I felt like I was always prepared when it came to those moments my senior year.
Talk about briefly the transition from college to the pro game. So, you went to Portsmouth, you played well there. From there, you ended up playing in the summer league with Vic, with the Magic. Talk about briefly how that process went and how you ended up in Italy for your first year.
Like after the season ended, you got like this little small brief period where you can just relax
Mm-hmm.
and kind of just reflect back on the season. In the position I was blessed to where I had NBA teams interested in me. Immediately from there, I had to get right back on the horse and
Yeah.
start training again intensely. At first, I wasn't on the list for Portsmouth. I finally, connected with an agent. My agent, Keith Kreider, helped me lobby me to these
Yeah.
teams and to help me get me in the Portsmouth. And so when I finally got into Portsmouth, like I said, like I was around some of the best talent in the
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
So again, like I said, I just had to trust my work. I knew I was working hard that whole spring, and just go in there and play my game. And I feel like I did. I actually had a good showing. And so I had several teams contact me to get me in for NBA workouts. And so I think I had 8 or 9 of them. Not
Mhm.
not not a crazy lot, but a
Right.
decent enough where teams were able to see me.
Right.
The Magic was very interested in me, and so they decided to bring me on for summer league. That experience of summer league, I really loved it. It was a great
Yeah.
experience. Just to be in that atmosphere, like that was my first like true taste of like what the league could be.
Right.
Like a lot of the players in summer league played in the league, like they're younger
Right.
players, but they also played in the league, and so just being around all that great talent and to know that like, okay, like I measure up with these people, like
Yeah.
I'm not like an outcast, like I actually can play with these people. It was a great experience. After summer league start to wind down, I actually had a couple meetings with some international teams while I
Mhm.
was at summer league. And so at the time, I think the last like two days or so, my agent was kind of sorting through, some of the deals I had from overseas, NBA team, G League,
Mhm.
stuff like that. And so he kind of laid out like my top like 4 offers to me. And
Right.
so when he presented me with the opportunity to play in A1 Italy, which is one of the best leagues in the world,
Yeah.
um, I saw my other offers. They didn't really move me, and then I saw this one. I actually talked to the coach while I was out there, and I jumped on it. I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
this is something I want to play." I'm still playing against elite competition.
We always say, people ask us as college players, what advice would you give a high school guy, right? You ask a pro, what advice would you give a college guy? But for you, the question I want to ask you is, now that you've been in a pro game for 2 years now, your second year, what do you think, or what do you see or identify as something that they pride themselves on skill wise in Europe that Americans don't? Like, what do you think American players or young college players or guys getting into the pro game now should be working on the most to make themselves an effective player out in the pro game?
I think two big points I would have to say is one is footwork. I learned that firsthand. Like when you play professionally, especially overseas, like it's kind of like a camp. Like so you got kids 16, 17, you
Right.
playing with, they're just trying to groom them, to finally play with the top team in that for that program. And so I seen them working out 2-3 times a day, and two of those practices could be all footwork.
Right.
All just drills of how to pivot, how to do up and unders, like just stuff of that nature. And at first I'm like that's like, like why are you just working, like you literally just taking 2 hours out your day working on footwork? But that really applies. Like it's a whole different ballgame, especially like overseas. You can't do certain moves. Having that knowledge of footwork really helps them out in the long run, because it puts you in better positions to be more crafty. Like you see the international players in the league, like the Joker, like he has amazing footwork, and he can kind of get anywhere he wants to, just because, okay, you cut me off here, I'm reverse pivot, come fake, come back. Like I feel like that's not really an emphasis here in America. So that would be one thing I would say, definitely say footwork, but also passing. Like, I feel like that sounds kind of self-explanatory, but like, that's something a lot of people work on, like being able to know, like you got to make crisp pass to to really be effective. Like you can throw the ball and it get to your teammate, but like, do you know, all right, like my teammate likes the ball in a certain pocket, and like he likes it in a certain way. Back home, young kids need to just focus on like just the fundamentals. I feel like we kind of got away from the fundamentals. Somewhere along the line, I don't know how, but just really honing in on like the basics, and I feel like that's gonna build for the rest of your game.
But man, it's been great talking to you. I mean, look, hey, look, it's always. I mean, look, I've been talking to you now for about 7 years straight. But, I mean, just to kind of get your perspective on everything, man. Some of this stuff we never even really talked about. So,
exactly.
I think it was good, man. I definitely appreciate you taking the time. I know the time difference is crazy out there. For my first episode, to have my boy on here talk to Northwestern basketball, man, I definitely appreciate you. And the one thing that I do want to get from you is, if you had any piece of advice for anybody, not just players, for anybody that may listen to this, watch this, just to kind of get people on the right mindset for the new year, for their life really going forward, what would you say would be that one thing that you can give people?
Honestly, it kind of go hand in hand, so it's kind of like a 1A, 1B thing, but I would just say positivity. I feel like in the climate we're in now, like with everything going on, and especially in the States, but in the world, I feel like that's something just us as a people need. We just need more positive thinkers, more people basically think about the other more than what they need and stuff like that. I feel like in a whole, we can do that. If we can do that, we'll be in a better place. And to add to that, don't take your family for granted, because you never know when the last time you'll see them. I've had a lot of people close to me who experience things like that. That's just something I always keep in the back of my head. Like even for me being 6-7 hours time difference from the States, I try to always call my mom or call my dad or people in my family, because like I don't know the last time, when that will be, that I can never talk. And I don't want to look back and be like, man, I never really got a chance to really enjoy their time while I was over here. So
wise words from a decent man right there.
Hey man, I appreciate you for having me on here. I was super excited when you told me, you wanted me on your first episode, man. And I'm excited to see what you do with this platform, man, because like a lot of people don't know, man, but you a wise man. Hey, real talk, you got a lot to provide for people, and I hope this platform really helps you just get it out there, get your information out there. And again, like I said, I appreciate you, bro.